Okay, I think we are on. Now, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and good night to all who are tuning in to me at this moment. And greetings, my name is Icubian Organis, and don't do this. I'm here with you. And as you can see, I'm not that organised. Well, I kind of am, but not. There's a couple of shows I want to do, because it's been over, it's over a week since I've done one, and I have to get myself accustomed to doing a video, because if I'm going to go live at some time, and at this moment in time, I don't think anybody really wants to hear what I've got to say, because I've got 7 subscribers, God bless them, and I mean it, the creator, God bless them, you know what I mean, the creator, God bless them, blessing from the creator, and I have no problem. These are infant steps into a bigger project that I have in mind. And I have to say, today is the, what date is it? I think it's the 30th. And later on today we're going to find we're going to be in the 31st. I am in the, as you can see, and that means it is Friday, January the 31st. The 31st, I see I've got some messages there already, but I can't address that. Tough. Officially, we're supposed to be leaving the EU. Now, this whole United Kingdom in the EU business is nonsense anyway. And I am not a fan of Boris's version of leaving the EU. So I'm going to call this video Brexit and the Second Enlightenment. This may be a long video, it might be a long winding video, but we're going to get there. I've got loads of material here that I'm going to use. Perhaps. I will confess I've been imbibing on the spirits, and so therefore some of what I do you might find to be out of character, and some of it you might think, well, I don't know him anyway, it's about to know his character anyway. If he's weird, he's weird. And with that, I am going to say, I'm kind of glad we're coming out of the EU, coming out. Well, not out of it, because what I understand, there's another year of being under EU law, and I don't like it one effing bit, not one bit. Now, I suppose, and I'm not criticizing anybody that doesn't want to subscribe, you don't have to, but subscribe if you want to hear what I got to say and you think it's interesting. I am Cedos, Caribbean descendant of slaves. That's the truth. And I'm going to do something really odd, and I don't know if it's going to work, and if it doesn't work, I won't let it be, you know what I mean? So I might have to take off a glove here so I can turn page. Because in a previous life, I'm a rapper, DJ, toaster, you know what I mean? But I can write for any situation, any purpose, films, musicals, whatever it is, I will write, you know? I will write for a certain scenario, and I did for this. So before I go into an education process, you can call it lesson one. I was calling it chitty chatty, and then I ended up saying Brexit and the new Enlightenment, because in my educational thesis that I will put to you, I'm going to bring you back to where you will see what's going on and understand. I don't think people do. I think that a lot of people are zombified. But I'm not going to knock. I'm not going to knock them. You know, I was an idiot. I really was a fool. Maybe I'm beating myself up a bit too much by saying fool. You know, I made money, I did things. That's not a fool. You know what I mean? Fool don't do things like that. But, you know, I was ignorant is the word I would use. Not ignorant insofar as insufferable, irascible, and many, aggressive and nah. But the point is I didn't know what I know now. And that comes with time and maturity. Some people mature quicker than others. But at the end of the day, we need a standard, and the standard is universal for everybody. There is the majority of kids, children, at a certain age will be X, Y, and Z. The majority of young youth will be X, Y, and Z. So a lot of what I'm going to be talking about in the next few videos is to do with high science. High science. And I'll explain what I mean by high science, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm going to sing a song, or talk a song, or give a bit of poetry. How about that? And I thought I'd do it because I think they've said, I've not checked it, I've not been interested in it, and because there's so much things going on. As I've told people before, towards the end of the year or at the cusp of the year, the people who run this world will create a scenario to stress the world out. It's either a tsunami, an earthquake, the portents of war that actually happen, or an assassination of some sort. Now, it just so happens we've had an earthquake near Jamaica and, whatever. We've also had a pandemic scare with the coronavirus. I'm not talking about that. And we've had a death of a celebrity, an athlete, in Kobe Bryant. I'm not going to talk about that either. I'm just going to do what I think I can do. And so here it goes. This is called The Way to Liberty. And this is my Brexit National Anthem, Part 1. Brexit National Anthem, Part 1. And that was officially typed out and stamped down as, an immovable piece of work. 4th of the 9th, 2016. We are Amanda brothers, native to the soil, standing firm for liberty, from it we won't recoil. When our rights were threatened, we all went out to vote. We won the liberty, and that we can't that's the problem when you have a bit of alcohol. I'll do it one more time, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay? It's, studio work, but we're not in the studio. So if that doesn't work, I will leave that alone. Oh, no wonder why. Because I got it all wrong. Not you, you idiot. This is the one I created first. The 12th of the 9th, 2016. 15. 1 5. 15. It's called E, you rebel. Let me get my fingers ready because this might be rapid. And if I fall on this one, I'm not saying another word. Oh, I'm an EU rebel, that is what I am. For EU constitution, I do not give a damn. I join the ranks of freedom, inviolable and true. A blessing and a noble cause for all of you. I ain't for control because I'm not for communist. I ain't for oligarchy because I am no fascist. I'm not for revolution because I am... Do not take alcohol. Do not imbibe and think you can do it. Right? I'm not here to waste your time. So the bottom line is, they're there. And you may go back to find my video to see where I put it down. And you can read the lyrics and you can get the meaning and the understanding. You should feel ashamed of yourself. No, I've been humiliated in my life. I'm not perfect. I am not perfect. There is no man is perfect. Everybody that you've met on this planet has done something they wish they hadn't have done. In my days dating, I'd always hear the girls say, I've got nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to be ashamed of. And I used to think to myself, you're a liar. Even then. I didn't know how much they lied. But it doesn't really matter about that. I'm not talking about the battle of the sexes today. It is what it is. And we all make errors. I just made 2. And 2 because you can say whatever you want to say about it. I've admitted I've imbibed. I've had half a bottle of vodka because it can't even say what it is. That's how bad it is. But be that as it may, I say all that and I do this on screen because I am not perfect. I'm not the perfect being. I'm not professing to be the perfect being. If that's what you're looking for, you are sadly mistaken. I am an educator. I don't care where the evidence is to get the truth. But it will be. Once I've assessed it, the truth, the gospel. That's why people said, it's gospel. That's it. And what I can give you will be the truth. So, with all that said, what else is there to talk about? What, you're going to punch this guy when 12 o'clock comes or 11 o'clock comes? Or... No. I think people need to learn how to think. And it might sound presumptuous to some or arrogant to some, but a lot of you guys don't quite know where you are. And I think I need to fill in those gaps that your school, your college and university didn't want to tell you. And it's pretty sad. It's a sad state of affairs for those who like to speak the truth. Not just me, many. But in this realm, everybody's got a niche. And they tell the truth from their vantage point. If I was to tell you, or, you know, one of my pet subjects is the American Civil War. The war between the states. Let's be fair on everything. Lincoln's bullying. There will be thousands of men fighting an opposition of thousands of men in different positions. Somebody on the left charging up a mountain, little round top at Gettysburg, his experience will be definitely different from somebody who was fighting at the Battle of Fredericksburg and charging up against the wall. On one end, at Little Round Top, the Union held fast. At the other end, the Confederates beat them back X amount of time, and it was like Lee said something profound. Lee, being generally, said something profound, but let's not go there. We're not talking about that situation. And if you want to know about that, I'll tell you about that. It's something that is, it should have been a battle to end all battles, really. It should have been a war to end all wars, when I think about it. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to talk about this country. We're going to talk about the civil war that we've got brewing here. Because the components are similar. To a degree, there is a never meeting of the minds. And I can understand why in 1850s, brewing up to 1861, why it came to what it came to. I can understand the players in it pushing it. I can understand the stain after the fact where everybody from the South was called a slave owner and a racist. But, the North were angels. Only from somebody outside can understand this. If you're inside, you will never know it. You will know pain. From Mississippi, if you're from Alabama, Louisiana, New Orleans, and you got stories, I'm not knocking the stories. That's an experience, you know what I mean? And to say I don't know about Colfax Massacre, and I don't know about, I don't know, you name them. I think I know quite a few. There's Tulsa, there's the one that made a movie about. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And then there's the Red Line and the Pianist, and I think I've spoken about that, so it's not a point. The point of this video is about educating you and giving you an insight so that you can have an insight and therefore you can be more insightful. Because this now is a second Enlightenment. What was the first Enlightenment? When did it happen? Why did it happen? How did it happen? Okay, so I'm going to kick you back several centuries. There was a time when the Roman universal system ruled the West. It ruled the West. I don't call it Christianity. The enemies of Christianity call it Christianity. It's a bit like the same bastards will say, Africa, you're African. But if you spoke to anybody who came from the continent, he would never say, I'm African. This is something I said about 12 years ago. He said, I'm from Ghana. I'm from Sierra Leone. He never uses it. And I'm like, well, who's European, right? You have to understand, and who directs the European? Who tells Europeans how to think? So in short, I'm trying to tell you, just by being a social detective, and the social detective is a bit of a historian on the one hand, without pay, so there's no narrative, there's no agenda. I mean, I've got loads of books, but you can read a book and the guy's got an agenda, and he's writing it in a certain way. So I'm a historian without no agenda. Why would I have an agenda? I'm a Cedos. I'm a Caribbean descendant of slaves. I want to know what went on. What were they thinking? Why did they come to the conclusions they did? They did, though. you know? And why are they resistant to reparations? But they are, though. And how do we make that argument as best laid out, which is not being done by watch my video, I told you. Anything to do with the reparations, if it's got reparations in it, in the title, you'll know. I've read it out. Do you know what I mean? You'll know. So, and anybody, let me just say this. If you're supposed to be conscious, whatever that means to you people, if you're supposed to be pro-black, whatever that means to you people, or Pan-African, I can't say Pan-African because Pan-African, man. If you're celebrating African Liberation Day, you're either a naive, what Lenin said would be a useful idiot, or you're straight up COINTEL. Your organisation is, right? COINTEL, government control. If you're celebrating Kwanzaa, I would have left the book inside. You're a useful idiot and COINTEL. Or at least your organisation is. There's no doubt about it. And before I go into this, anybody who's talking about reparations, anybody, think of your most favourite person that you love a lot because they said some good things. They gave you some historical points here or there, some tidbits, or tidbits, tidbits or tidbits, whatever, about black suffering or white racist or, the stuff that gets your blood boiled, gets you riled up, and you donated. Anytime they are going to say, oh, the good ship Jesus, i.e. slavery was invented by Christians, and they do not talk about the Talmud, or the fact that the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, the TAST, the transatlantic slave trade was created and run by Jews. They're fake and lying to you. There's been too many of African American professors and Caribbean who've been traumatized by the bullying of people who don't like the fact that they boasted and wrote about what they did. Of what they did. This is just one example. It's called the Jewish Pirates of the Caribbean. Now that was written on the back of the famed Pirate of the Caribbean where Johnny Depp is in it. Some guy thought, well, he didn't live long after that. Spoke too much, I suppose. The point is, listen, you got to speak the truth, okay? That's it. The truth will make you free. You don't have to add, don't have to exaggerate. Don't exaggerate. Don't lie. Don't make up shit. You don't need to. You really don't. It's in our hands. It's in your hands. Your hands. Your hands. When you corner any animal and they feel cornered, you're close to a lash out of you. That's what you're getting. The end is nigh for those. This is a high science battle. And so I'll bring you back to high science. Or what I regard as high science. Now, before I interject on that, I really have to say, or reiterate that I'm not perfect. I will not be the perfect teacher. Or I don't believe there is a perfect teacher. There shouldn't be a perfect teacher. Teachers are teachers. They are people that can connect to you or not. And they can inspire you or not. You can understand what they're saying or not. But there's no perfect teacher. There's no cookie cutter model. That's what we got right now in your primary schools. Because you go to any primary school and the place looks decorated the same as any other primary school. And Ofsted stands by that. That's why I get rid of Ofsted. Okay, I don't want to drift. So let's talk about the high science. What would I consider a high science? A high science is a faculty, a science. Science means, in Latin, is called scientia. A scientia in Latin, it means knowledge, right? So knowledge is something we should not take for granted, because there's good knowledge and bad knowledge, you know what I mean? There's good science and bad science. But there is a kind of consensus that science has more than just knowledge, or the original term, scientia, but it is scientia. I mean, most of things that you might call knowledge is just gossip. It's not knowledge, in that it's introducing something into the lexicon of people's minds, thinking, that will bear fruit, like mathematics and engineering and better social systems in which we live in. So when I talk about it called knowledge, it isn't about did you fart, who farted in the place. It was him, that's knowledge. I know he farted. That's not what I'm talking about. Do you understand that? And when you're an academic, you don't think mono, a fart smell, it was him. Yeah, smell it. Who smelled it? But it's you. You said it first. No. No. As an academic, you have to go through the ruminations, if that's the right word, of various scenarios that are projected, possibilities, and the validity of each and every one of those. And then you come with your own conclusion and back it up with why. So, with all that rambling, and you're wondering where I'm going, stay with me. I think I lost a lot of friends because they don't understand, but we're talking academia, we're talking about high science. High science is not common science. So therefore, what constitutes, in my mind, high science? Behaviorism. Yes. I've got all the wrong books out at the moment for behaviorism. That constitutes as high science, because it is high science. Psychology. That constitutes how you think, as high science. Neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, constitutes as high science. And that, in many ways, runs the world. This show is unscripted, so it's very difficult to go. Well, I chose it, so I'm going to try my best with it. I haven't had half a bottle of whatever the beverage was. High science, we're talking about, for me, we are talking about behaviorism, psychology, and neuro-linguistics. What do we get from those things, and why are they high sciences? That's not to say Sir Francis Bacon, who another one of the books I should have brought here, instead of this lot. I think this is the second lesson. As I'm realizing, it's a lesson 2 in mindfulness of Brexit and the second evolution. not evolution, enlightenment. My apologies, please. It's an evolution of such. Yeah, I just missed my point on high sciences. So you do have chemical engineering. I'm going to call it chemical engineering, where you've got the elements